Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Ardis. This is the Dr. Ardis Show, and we're so excited for this special edition of our show. I've got some incredible guests here who many of you are going to know, who are going to hang out with, rock with, go hunting with, pull a bow and arrow, and go catch yourself a deer somewhere. That would be the incredible Shemaine Nugent, New York Times bestseller, documentary filmmaker, survivor of horrific, deadly mold and mold gas and mycotoxins, you name it. She has done it all. She's here with us. Shemaine Nugent, thanks for joining the Dr. Ardis Show, and say hello to the audiences.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. And hello to all of your audience. I really am grateful for the work that you're doing, Dr. Artis,
Thank you.
and you're waking people up. And really, a lot of people have seen the light, so to speak, because of what you have done. So thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, you're very welcome, and thank you for the accolades. It's very kind of you. And yes, we've been doing our best, trying our best to educate and warn the world that there are hidden, deadly toxins, pathogens, misdiagnosis, misdirection, deceit, and all things health, you name it. And you had a similar experience like that too. But we're going to talk today about a specific book you just came out with, just launched, just went live last week. Actually, we're very thrilled and honored to support you and what you've written. But I'm really thrilled to invite you to be here with me because I, for one, don't typically interview a lot of people. Like I do interview a lot of people, but I don't interview a lot of people just to do it. I want people with a specific mission, purpose, and excitement and zeal for life, and you happen to carry all of that. So
Thank
you
you.
have overcome a lot of things and obstacles, even in your own health, have become I don't know, a missionary of sorts to educate the world about the toxic, deadly effects of mold, like we mentioned earlier with your own personal experience. I don't really want to focus on that, but I do want to highlight that towards the end of this engagement and interview because it is something that everybody in my sphere of influence should know about, should educate themselves about, and should know next steps to possibly look for what might be a cause of their symptoms, their illness, their cancer that is beneath the carpet, inside the walls, inside your sheetrock, possibly. You have no idea. All right, Shemaine, hold up your new book. Show them
Oh,
abundantly
wait,
well. I
hang
want you to
on.
show them the cover.
There it
Yeah,
is.
there's the beautiful cover, abundantly well. All right, so okay, there's a few things you highlight in there, but this is like a
Okay.
40-day program. So take the audiences through what's the 40 days experience they're going to get when they purchase abundantly well.
Well, first of all, I've been a fitness instructor for 44 years, Brian, for a long time.
Awesome.
And I've learned a thing or two about what works and what doesn't work. And also, as you mentioned, I got sick and almost died from toxic mold. And I made a promise, one of those times when you get down on your knees and you're asking God for answers. I made a promise that if I found answers to the health struggles that I have had, including when I was in college, I was 30 pounds heavier than I am now. And including that, I would share everything I know with people. And that's what is in my book. So it's a 40-day wellness devotional. And I take you through every step of the way. It's not just for the fitness enthusiast. In fact, I wrote this book because there's a lot of fitness books out there. There are a lot of diet books and recipe books. And of course, we got a lot of spiritual books and Bibles and things like that. This book has it all together because if you don't focus on all areas, mind, body, spirit, you could look great in, your leotard or whatever it is that you're wearing, bikini or speedo or anything. But if you're not happy inside, if you don't have that joy that only God can bring, or if you're feeling poorly, you could still be in great shape, but you don't sleep, you have no appetite, or you get migraines, you get headaches, you get skin rashes, you get insomnia, you get upper respiratory symptoms. All of this could be linked to not only toxic mold, but I offer this in my book. I also believe it's linked to spiritual warfare because what does the devil want? Us to be sick, depressed, unhealthy, overweight,
Afraid.
not motivated, not praying, giving up.
Yeah, I think the devil enjoys our suffering. He also wants us to be fearful, afraid, have self-doubt, self-judgment, shame, you name it. Anything that's anti-God, in my opinion. So yes, I believe the mental, spiritual, and emotional mindset is a perfect way to focus on really, as you've laid out in the book, a 40-day way of getting your insights to improving your spirituality, your mental focus, and your physical health. All right, so I have a question for you. Why do you like physical fitness so much? Why do you like physical
I,
health so much? Why
well,
did you ever
okay.
care 44 years ago to start exercising and helping other people get fit?
Because I was 30 pounds heavier than I am now. And I couldn't figure out, I was an athlete growing up. I don't know if you know this, you and I have talked, you've been on my show, my Faith and Freedom show. I was a 2-time state champion swimmer when I
Mhm.
was a kid. I also used to race motocross.
Awesome.
I did gymnastics. I was a cheerleader. I basically did everything. Then when I got to college and I'm not doing all those things, I had the freshman 15 and then some. And I
Hold
think
up. Where did it
my
go? Where's a freshman 15? Is that in your stomach? Where is this? I don't know. In your butt?
everywhere,
Where is this at?
everywhere.
Everywhere? It's just
Well, it
30
goes
pounds
everywhere.
distribute everywhere. Okay. I have
It,
no
it
idea.
goes everywhere. It was the first time I went to the cafeteria and saw the smorgasbord. Like you just pay one time a month and you get to eat everything you want.
Yeah, yeah.
And it caught up with me. I wasn't a kid anymore. I had to figure out how to lose weight. And my dorm mates and I would get together with, remember the old fashioned boom box?
I
And
do.
we would do leg lifts and old fashioned calisthenics. So we started doing aerobics, and I realized exercise is really the key for everything. And I like it anyway. I like being physically fit, not
Me
just
too.
physically fit. If I have a little bit of scoliosis, if I don't move my body, my back freezes. Like I'm
Mhm.
just always in pain. So it, I have to exercise, and I don't exercise like I used to as I get older. I'm 62 now. I used to, years ago when I was teaching aerobics, we would do you know what cans are? What
No,
the Rockettes, you know what the Rockettes
but I
are?
know what the Rockettes are. Yes.
Okay. You know how they do the knee lift and the kick?
Yes, I do. Is that a
Those are
can?
cans.
Got it.
When I was teaching in the early 80s, we would do cans for 45 minutes.
Holy moly.
And it would be a kind of a contest for which instructor could have more people dropping out of their classes.
Wow.
Then we learned that that's not a good thing to do. So, and thank God I don't have any knee problems from all that. But
Thank
so
God.
I've always made fitness a part of my life, and I just so enjoy when I'm teaching and I get to see all the smiling faces back at me, and the music is going and sometimes lights going, but it feels like an opportunity for me to not only share my love of healthy living with others, to motivate and inspire people, is buoying my spirit. And I think that's why God put us all here, it is to help others.
Amen. Now, one of the biggest things I've said to every patient coming into my offices before I retired in 2018, now that we educate people around the world through digital means and on stages, one of the common things we say is the way to stay healthy is you have to move your booty, like physically move your body. Okay. We talk about it all the time, not just going to the bathroom, moving your booty. We're talking about moving your body. Motion is life, is something I have said to every patient. You have got to move. All right. Now, before my audiences get overwhelmed with this idea of 40 days of introducing new concepts to improve their mental, physical, and emotional well being, spiritual well being, I want you to share with them a few highlights of what they may expect. What kind of strenuous fitness activity are you going to ask for? This day one, for example, are you telling them to go to a chin up bar and do like 20 chin ups is the first thing you have to do? Is that what you're going to tell them?
No, and you
Okay,
know what?
good.
I wrote this book for the person who works out a lot, but mostly for the person who doesn't, who
Good.
looks at the gym and New Year's resolutions as, I just want to give up. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. I've worked all my life. I don't even know where to start. I want to walk alongside you. And so what I do, the first chapter is we do an assessment. You know that there's a WYA when you're texting people, where are you at? So we do an assessment. Where are you at? Where are you at in your health? What's not working? What have you done in the past? What can we change? And then I walk you through the steps of, okay, this is some of the gear that you might need: tennis shoes, water bottle, things like that. And then every day I walk you through something, and they're short chapters designed for you to consume in just about 10 or 15 minutes.
Awesome.
And I always end with a prayer, because I think that for me, being grateful has changed everything in my life. Has and showing gratitude, keeping a gratitude journal. Sometimes it's easy to just be negative, negative, negative. But I promise, if you start focusing on the positive in your life, you start looking at your water glasses half full rather than half empty.
I love it. Yeah, that's a great point. All right, so the prayer, the biblical side, I'm assuming there's going to be some scriptures thrown throughout each of these chapters
Yep. Yep.
because you referenced it, which is great. All right, so tell my audiences one of your favorite verses out of the Bible. Just summarize it. You don't have to quote it. In the
Well,
realm of health.
I can come pretty close to quoting it. There's a few, but for me, Esther 4:14, if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. Who knows, but you have been brought to the kingdom for such a time as this. Kind of, sort of. And I look at that, Brian, and I think sometimes I go live or I do my Faith and Freedom show and I have a team of people producing it for me. So all I have to do is show up. But sometimes on my lives, I don't know if you ever doubt what you're doing. You're coming out with great information. I think it's a little bit different for guys. But sometimes I doubt, like, does anybody really want to hear this? Is anybody getting that they really need to take care of their health? They really need to put
Amen.
their health first. And then I think of Esther 4:14. We were brought to the kingdom for this time. God put us all here for this time. Never doubt where you are. If you're just a hairdresser, I know my hairdresser sees and hears a lot of things. God has put you there for a reason. And I'll tell you another thing. I don't know if we've talked about this before, but when I met Ted 37 years ago, Brian,
Yeah.
we're coming up on our 37th anniversary. I didn't
Congratulations.
even listen to, thank you. I didn't even listen to rock and roll. My high school friends are freaking out because they're like, you don't even like rock and roll. What, you don't even know who Ted Nugent was. And I didn't. But again, maybe God put us together. I've seen what he has gone through. I don't know if you know this about him, but he's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But
I didn't know that.
Madonna is because he didn't follow the rules. He didn't agree to their politics. And he talks about, hunting and guns and things like that. And I've seen him in 37 years. His management would say, when you do interviews, don't talk about hunting and guns. So I can't not do that. So I've seen him stand up to Goliath and so many other people, you and Dr. Richard Bartlett, Dr. Lee Merritt, so many people are out there on the front lines. Why not? Why not us? Why not people who
Amen.
don't have the type of platform that you do or Ted does or Dr. Merritt does? God put us here for a purpose. So I share that. Esther 4:14 is probably my favorite Bible verse.
I love it. Okay, so for the self-doubt that you just referenced, I'm assuming this is why people should get your book because there's so many reasons and excuses we make, whatever it might be, self-judgment, self-doubt, that we can't complete the kind of exercise or routines you've been doing for 44 years. I can't look like Shemaine after 44 years of working out and taking care of myself, being married to a rock star. She didn't even know it was a rock star. She didn't even know she liked rock music. She had no idea. How can I be like her? Well, the truth is, I have to remind people from stages all the time when they ask me, how can I make a difference like you, Dr. Ardis? This is what I always say. I don't know what you think you need, but Jesus had no degrees whatsoever.
That's right.
I mean, he literally had no education that I'm aware of at all. Like in the world of education as we see it, set up by our government, by our public schools, he doesn't have any diplomas. He doesn't have any stuff. He was born of a carpenter, supposedly, but he literally atoned for all of our sins and helped us now make it to where we can escape the trauma, the burdens, and the blocks that come from the sins that we experience in our life. So anyway, you don't need to have anything special or any special
No,
tools or any kind of educations or licensing. You don't need that. You just need to
no.
have something you value, something you're passionate about that you now want to go share with others. And
Yeah.
Shemaine, that's what you've done with abundantly well. So tell the audiences where they can get it. Where can they find your
It's
book?
available on Amazon. So go grab a copy for yourself and maybe a couple of other people because here's what, Brian, I really want to help people, help America get healthy again. We have a pandemic in this country and it's that 70% of us are overweight and you know what? We're setting up our kids for a lifetime of illness. if we don't address this right now. I'm so happy that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is coming into this administration in some form and really shining a spotlight on the cockroaches in big pharma, big government, big tech, because we are doing too much of this and not enough of this. And if we can be silly about it and enlighten people and encourage people and motivate people, and as I mentioned, I want to walk alongside that person who is full of self-doubt and be their cheerleader and help them get healthy again. Because what if Christians, what if we were the people who were super healthy and we would encourage other people not just to read the Bible, but to take care of our temples, God's temples in us.
Amen to that. All right. So in your chapters, you got 40 days, right? It's a 40-day program. And
Yep.
by 40 days, I'm assuming you can create some habits,
Yes.
some tendencies to want to continue to repeat this, to actually continue to improve your health overall, your mental state, your spirituality, all of it. All right. So give me an example of a day in which someone's going to read in your book and they're going to get to a certain day and they're going to go, give me an example of an exercise and a scripture. And do you have dietary recommendations in the book for those days? Like what you should focus on, breakfast, lunch, dinner, or not? Do you have any recommendations there in the book?
I have lots of recommendations, but every day is different. Some days I focus on fitness. Some days I focus on
Good.
food. I talk about toxins in the air, soil, and water, about chemicals and pesticides and mRNA and antibiotics in your
Awesome.
food that could be making you sick in your environment. A lot of people don't talk about this, but if you're using Downy fabric softener, stop. It could be causing you headaches, upper respiratory illnesses, and those Glade plugins, stop. I'm the type of person where if I go to somebody's house or a business, you go into the bathroom and they have those things, I unplug it. That would be me. That's where I was last. I do that all the time. It's not good for you.
No.
It also makes grocery shopping a little bit more difficult because they put mountain fresh spring scent in toilet paper, in Kleenex, in garbage bags. There's nothing fresh about it. It's toxins and it could be killing you. So every day is different. I talk about all of that stuff in my book, Abundantly Well, even toxic mold. I talk a little bit about how to recognize, remediate, and recover from that as well.
That's awesome. I'll highlight that website here in just a minute of where
Great.
you have that info. But okay, so I bet you no one's ever asked you this in an interview. So what's your favorite toilet paper then if you don't like Mountain Fresh scented toilet paper?
I
What
get
does Shemaine
unscented.
Nugent roll off her toilet paper roll in the bathroom every day?
I'll be honest with you.
Okay, be honest.
I don't get the scented. I don't get the scented kind, but I do get the kind that's a little extra cushiony.
Oh yeah, good. There's not a brand. There's not a brand that's your favorite. You don't want to
No,
get known as the toilet
no.
paper guru.
I tried a lot of them. I try a lot of them, and I try to do the. Have you ever seen? This always blows my mind. As long as we're talking about toilet paper, have you ever seen like at Whole Foods they have recycled toilet paper? Like that
Yeah.
just throws me right there. I'm like, I don't
Hmm.
no.
Yeah. What do they do? Just wipe it off and clean it? Recycled toilet. That is hilarious. I have seen it and I'm like, nope, skipping that aisle. That's great. I don't need that. I don't want any. There's certain things I don't buy used,
I
recycled.
know, right?
Toilet paper seems weird. That's really funny. All right. So, Shemaine, all right, tell me what you overall, let's see, do you have any basic recommendations dietary wise that makes you stay so fit, so lean, keeping that 30 pounds off over the last 44 years? Give me some general guidelines that make Shemaine Nugent who Shemaine Nugent is. Passionate,
Well, number one,
energetic, mentally clear, focused, ambitious, New York Times bestseller, Amazon bestseller. Go ahead.
number one is I'm a label reader. I look at the label, the ingredients and everything. And I also say
What are you looking for? What's the first thing you're looking for in a label?
the things I can't pronounce is what I'm
Okay,
looking for.
very good. I like that.
If you can't pronounce it, it's probably not food. Somebody like you might be able to pronounce some of these things, but I don't shop in the inner aisles. If it's in a box on a shelf for months or even years, that's not good fuel for your sacred temple. But I have to say, not only do I am I a label reader? I do organic. I grow my own garden. But I also, those are awards. There's just a couple of awards. We've got a lot of them for our hunting show. I am a bow hunter, and I've honestly never been more proud than the past couple of years since the pandemic. We're not going to starve. We get pure, lean, grass fed venison that's not shot up with chemicals and steroids. And the same
Love it.
thing goes for animals. If a cow is born, raised, and dies in one spot, or a pig or chicken, it stands there its whole life. It never gets exercise. And you're gonna pay a butcher to slaughter it for you. You're gonna pay the guy at the deli to wrap it up in plastic, which is toxic, and then you're gonna ingest that. Let me ask you, Dr. Ardis, how healthy is that for you?
Not healthy at all.
Not healthy at all. So we have our venison. It's not easy. I hunt with a bow and arrow. So I basically it's not, I'm not able to go, okay, God, I'm sitting here, cue the deer, make sure it walks in front of me 20 yards broadside, please. That doesn't happen. But what does happen is we have the most incredible revere. We're so appreciative of our venison, of these animals. We don't waste food. We it's a sacred thing to
I
be
love it.
hunters and to share. We spend a lot of time, energy, and effort to take the venison to soup kitchens and churches,
I love
and
it.
sometimes we'll take a whole deer and just give it away to friends. So it's a blessing for a lot of people. I know it's not for everybody, but it does help us make that connection. And I think that's what, Genesis 9, I think it says, God says to Noah, take thy quiver and thy bow and get me some venison. So, okay, I'll
I
do
love it.
that.
All right. So, Shemaine, bow hunter, what's your favorite cut of meat from your deer that you hunt?
Well, there's something called a backstrap,
Yeah, I
which
was going to say, is
is,
it backstrap?
yeah,
Because that stuff's
backstrap.
amazing.
It's very lean, and it's not marbled a lot. It depends on what we're cooking, what we're having. We eat venison a lot, almost every day. So backstrap, but axis deer is probably one of the best for me.
Yummy.
Okay, guess what animal I've been to? I mentioned maybe I didn't. I've hunted in Africa many times. Guess what animal I feel like was my favorite to eat? Take a wild guess from
I have
Africa.
no idea. Giraffe. I have no idea.
No,
Zebra.
zebra.
Oh, I was close. Very good. Zebra. That's awesome.
I think it was because there's something about when we spend time in Africa with the natives, and
Yeah,
you're feeding their community. They look at hunting so much different,
I love it.
and they are so appreciative of it. Nothing goes to waste. And so for me, I'll never forget, they have what they call a PH, a professional hunter, that will guide you. And they were looking at me with I use a 30-pound bow for anybody that bow hunts. It's not very heavy, but I'm a pretty accurate shot. So when they were looking at me coming in with my 30-pound girly bow, they were like, "What? She's not gonna be able to do that." And my husband kept saying, "Yes, she will. Give her a minute." So that reward of having a quick, humane kill, quicker than a slaughterhouse, and the animal had lived its life in its natural habitat, and we are managing the herd. It's wildlife management, so the rest of the herd can be healthy, and we're feeding that entire community.
Amen.
So yeah, that was one of my favorites.
I love it. Backstrap, zebra, deer. Love it. That's awesome. I actually went to Montana a few months ago, actually last year, and a wonderful lady there brought me some moose backstrap, and it was literally the most incredible piece of meat I've ever eaten in my entire life. We had it with eggs in the morning for breakfast several days in a row. It was incredible. Anyway, I think one of the big messages here is being self-reliant and not being reliant on our government and grocers for everything on earth and our butchers, right? So this is one of the things I think that is so important about your book is if you don't have health, don't have quality of health, mental health, you literally are going to be a slave to a pharmaceutical industry right now. In fact, if you don't know how to exercise, you have an extra 30 pounds like Shemaine had some 44 years ago. What are you going to be told right now in America you need? You need to inject yourself with a synthetic form of Gila monster venom called Ozempic and Wegovy. That's exactly what they're telling you. And the FDA just approved that for people older than 60, Shemaine. They just now covered Wegovy, Gila monster venom, injections for life for the elderly to be covered by Medicare. And they
It's
believe it
unbelievable.
will cost Medicare $3.5 billion a year to cover these injections, when in fact they could reverse their heart disease, their obesity, their blood sugar if they just took the principles in your Abundantly Well book and just start the process of improving how your body burns calories, increases how the heart functions, improving blood flow to the brain to improve your mental focus, your spirituality included. Then make sure you're drinking distilled water and filtered water to get all the chemicals that actually calcify the brain's pineal gland and keeps you from having such a strong revelation and sorry, not revelation, but relation with God. And
Well, Revelation 2 probably, but
Revelation 2, yep. And
you
just
know,
like
I would love to live in a world where the government rewards us for being healthy. Insurance company will
that'd be
give you
amazing.
bonuses for going to the gym. And we not only that, food stamps, people who are on food stamps and different things, they actually want to eat healthier. I see a lot of people, in grocery carts that are overweight and they have sodas and they have junk food. And I pray for those people because when you can live a healthier life, you're going to have more energy. You're going to live abundantly well. And not only that, you're going to be able to share that joy with other people and help other people. And I think that we were all meant to be like Esther and help other people. So that's why I wrote that book too, Abundantly Well.
Abundantly Well, go get it at Amazon. It's fabulous. All right, so let's see. What are my next questions for you, Shemaine? I really, let's see. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking tea, and
What kind of tea?
it's green tea.
Yeah.
And this is my puppies in coffee. These are my puppies. I also talk about dogs. Oh, and we were talking beforehand. Ted and I have a very unhealthy attachment to our dogs. So these are some of the puppies that I've had. But dogs can actually sniff out mold. Dogs are
Amen.
amazing creatures. So I love dogs. I can't say enough about them. And for those people who are struggling with, there's a lot of people struggling with depression, and we know sometimes what that's all about, that they're taking other medication that's causing depression. I used to get horrible migraines when I was sick from toxic mold. And I remember one time they gave me an antidepressant. And I'm like, what? Okay, this is 20 some
You're
years
just
ago.
depressed.
They made me depressed. I'm like, I don't want to take any of this stuff. So that's why, I wrote this book. If I could find answers to any of the trials and tribulations that I've been through, and I've been through a few, as we all have, I want to help other people. It breaks my heart to see children on medication, asthma and allergy medication. And am I right? You would know this. Did they not approve one of those Ozempic type drugs for children?
Oh, yeah, 6 years old. Starting at 6 years
Unbelievable.
old. Yeah, it causes diabetic retinopathy and blindness. And 20% of all people they give it to, it actually has a published black box warning to cause thyroid cancer in 12 months. Yeah, let's give this to all the children and the elderly. It'd be great to speed up more cancer diagnosis. All right, so lots of people are going to be asking me, Shemaine, where do they get that mug of yours? They want to get their own mug. They can drink
Oh,
in green leaf
I had
tea.
this made. I
No, they
had
want
this
they want to
made.
know where they can
Um,
purchase it. Where do they get it?
They can purchase my, well, you can go to my website. Maybe I'll put some up there. It's ShemaineNugent.rocks. And we are coming out with some t-shirts
Awesome.
and some things that you might enjoy other than just books.
I love it. Now, just for excitement, Shemaine, you and I did an interview with Richard Bartlett on your podcast show, and we discussed cures for the bird flu. Is that why you're drinking the green leaf tea? Because we discussed that being a cure for the bird flu, which it is. In 2021, the NIH published green leaf tea is a published cure for the bird flu. So get your cup, get your puppy's mug from Shemaine Nugent, dot rocks, and,
Yeah.
and then drink your green leaf tea every day during this pandemic. They
It's
just told us, Shemaine, it's
unbelievable.
coming up January 21st when Donald Trump takes office. They
You think,
said that it's starting when Donald Trump takes office. How do you feel about that?
I'm not a rocket scientist, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn once. I think it's so, the Bible says not everyone has eyes to see, and it's really incredible that some people don't get this. They don't see there was a bird flu summit in Washington, D.C. in October.
Yep.
Do people watching this not understand that they are planning all of this out? It's the same thing on repeat. But the difference is more people now have eyes to see and ears to hear. More people are understanding. Come on, man. We get it now. You're not going to pull one over on us like you did before with the, oh, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Ain't going to happen.
Yeah, ain't gonna happen. Just drink the green leaf tea out of your Shemaine Nugent Puppies mug, and you'll be fine. All right, now I want to take you to this website here just to showcase for everybody. Go to Amazon.com and get your Abundantly Well book, written by the New York Times bestseller, rock and roll woman, bow hunting, zebra, backstrap making Shemaine Nugent. This is a website, though, of hers, killerhouse.org. And I just think it would be helpful to show you guys that there is information out here to see, possibly, maybe take action steps to maybe uncover why it is you have migraine headaches, why it is you have night terrors while you're sleeping, maybe why you have seizures, maybe why you have tachycardia or heart arrhythmias. These are all caused by mold and can be. But anyway, this is an example of a resource for you. And do you mind if I just show the trailer of
Go
your
for it.
Killer House documentary? I would like to show it here.
Love it.
So I'm going to blow this up here. Y'all enjoy.
15 years ago, Shemaine Nugent and her husband Ted were living the good life, enjoying each other in this home featured on the very popular show MTV Cribs.
Greetings. Welcome to the real America. My name's Ted Nugent.
We built our dream home, and it was a place that was supposed to be a sanctuary.
We would tour Europe and feel great. We would tour across America, feel great. We would come home, and after a few days of being home, we'd start to feel rotten.
And I kept getting sicker and sicker.
And I remember one time we were in Florida and it was just me and her, and I was like waiting for her to come tuck me in for bed, and like she never came, and I guess I just got up and I was like looking for her, and she was in the bathroom and on the floor and she couldn't move and she was just crying, and I asked her, I was like, what's wrong, Kate? Why aren't you getting up? And she didn't make speech. She just cried and kind of moaned, and it was really scary. And I called 911 and ambulance came, and
I hated to equate it to being in our dream home, but at some point I decided, both Shemaine and I decided, that it's the house.
The house was grossly unsafe. The house that they had ended up having to be knocked down.
There are so many different illnesses that can mimic the mold response, the chronic inflammatory response syndrome in the body. And still today, there's a lot of discrepancy. There's a lot of different theories on how you should treat this. So that's my mission in life, is to try to cure myself, my family, and others, and expose the dirty little secret about toxic mold.
All right, so I want you to explain to the audiences, if they go to killerhouse.org, what kind of information will they get here?
Well, I have to tell you first, I haven't seen that in a little while. I obviously produced it. I remember recording it, but it always does bring tears to my eyes to think that we lost everything. We lost our home. And to this day, people ask me, yeah, what do I need to do? I think my house is killing me. Number one, if you think you have a mold problem, you probably do. Number two, there are resources, but beware of people who really don't know what they're doing. They will try to get you to remediate, and they do it improperly. That's what happened to us several times. So I put information, I have podcasts that I've done, and I've put all of those resources out so that you don't have to go through what we did, losing not only our home, all of the contents in it. And this is 20 years ago. We didn't have digital media. I lost my son's baby pictures. Ted lost a lot of his guitar memorabilia. And I remember thinking at that time, we got so sick, it didn't matter. Nothing matters, Brian. If you don't have your health, none of that stuff matters.
Well, thank you for sharing the story with the world, and thank you for being a beacon of hope for them, because you learned in an interview we did this year that 7 years ago when I moved into this house and built this house to be our dream home here in Plano, Texas, that within 6 months of moving into it, after it was actually remodeled, me and my wife both would lay down in bed for hours, and we would just cough and cough and cough and never could figure out where the source was. And about 6 months into it, I said, I need to get a mold remediation company in here to come test for mold in my home. And so we did. And 3,000 square feet away in a different living room, was a spot of black mold 6 inches around in diameter underneath the wooden floor, but on top of the concrete foundation. And the mold company busted up the wood, found that black mold under there, and said that must have been a planter with a plant that a previous owner had a plant there and would overfill the water, and it actually soaked through the wood onto the concrete. Moisture and humidity in the Texas air allowed that black mold to thrive, and just the spores of the mold and the mycotoxins gas and stuff that was in the air was getting circulated into our bedroom, and we were just sitting there hacking and coughing. Anyway, we got that done and taken care of, but it was really a headache and a annoyance to have to put up with those small mold symptoms. But I want to share with you, Shemaine, and with the audiences, why I get excited about what you're doing to try to educate people to improve their own health, on top of experiencing and reclaiming your own health from a mold toxicity previously in your home, and then sharing how you lost so much as a result. I actually had some senior citizens that were dear friends of mine. The wife still is, she's still alive, but the husband was in his 90s and had Alzheimer's, very severe dementia. When I sold my practice in 2009 and moved to Dallas, Texas to start my next practice, I stayed with them for a year. They asked me to move in with them while I moved my wife and kids here, to stay here in Dallas while I was there preparing that clinic to be sold. So I stayed with them for a year, and during that year, I learned something about these guys, that in the home I was staying in, when they moved in 10 years earlier, they had moved into the house, and within 6 months, he was in the hospital with some rare pneumonia that eventually got diagnosed as Legionnaire's disease. Okay? Now, Legionnaire's disease even tells me about this, and I said, that's a New England problem. That's not down here in the South. That's weird. Anyway, I said, that's an incorrect diagnosis. Okay, keep going. And anyway, they keep going. He's in there for 6 months, and then a month later, his wife is put into the hospital, and she's diagnosed with a respiratory illness. They are both in the hospital for months. And somebody told them, you should probably get your house tested for mold. So they send out, no, I'm not even joking. They sent Home Depot to go check out their home. They actually go out there and somehow took a mold kit. I don't even know they had mold kits there. Took a mold kit. The black mold thing is super high, the result from the test. They go in there and start busting out the carpet on the hallway going to the bedroom, and the sheetrock in the bathroom right up against the headboard in their bedroom. So you walked out of their bedroom where the headboard is up against a wall. You go out the door, there's a bathroom in a hallway, and the sink is up against the wall where the headboard is. And in that wall was 8 feet of black mold. Underneath that sink and in the floor and down the hallway was another 15 feet of black mold completely covering the underneath of the floor. Only to find out while they're in the hospital that the couple who lived in that hospital for 30 years, who then gifted in their will that home to these people, had both died of some mysterious respiratory illness together within 6-month period in a hospital, the same hospital this couple ends up in after living in the same house for just a few months. This is the horrific impact of mold exposure, and a hidden killer that so many people are unaware of. I guarantee you 20 years ago, you found out lots of medical doctors didn't even know about this or how to take care of it or how to treat it. And to this day, I'm still shocked that very many people don't know.
It's unbelievable. Well, I mean, what amount of time do they spend teaching you about mold in any kind of medical school? None. And the problem is, again, there are a lot of people who really don't know what they're doing. They just want to make a buck, and they'll take advantage of other people. But these symptoms, like I said in the trailer, there are so many symptoms that look like something else, Legionnaire's disease. And I'll share one with you that I thought about recently, that I had a tubal pregnancy when I was in that house.
Oh, wow.
Now, can you tell me for certain that mold caused it? No. Can you tell me that it didn't cause it for certain? No. So the problem is, if you think something's wrong, there is. Number one, if you have a water leak, get it fixed. If you have a water leak, you have a porous substance and a lack of ventilation, you will have mold. If that water stays there for up to 72 hours, you will have toxic mold, or what a lot of people say, black mold, but it's Stachybotrys. There are penicillium that's white mold, or a light greenish color. So it's not just black mold. There are so many different types of mold. but you've got to get a reputable company. Go look up their Yelp reviews. And again, if you think there's something wrong, there's a statistic that 80% of homes and buildings have mold. I would say it's 100%. It's absolutely 100%. Get the water leak fixed, get it done right, and get rid of carpeting, get tile floors, wood floors, and just use rugs. So then it's not, when you're vacuuming, you can start seeing what's going on. If you spilled something, you see that water, but it gets absorbed into carpeting and you don't see that.
Yep, very good points. So killerhouse.org, y'all can go look at, go watch the documentary. You can learn more. You're also going to be coming out with a documentary or docuseries soon,
Yes.
more about the mold topic, which will be very exciting.
Yep.
And I look forward to sharing that with the audiences and all those abroad as well. All right, so what are you looking forward to in 2025 besides the millions of people that are going to be doing your 40-day program inside your book, Abundantly Well, that they all purchase at Amazon? What else are you looking forward to in 2025?
You know, I really look forward to my Faith and Freedom show and being able to interview people like you and Dr. Richard Bartlett and Dr. Lee Merritt, and also Don Jr., Charlie Kirk, Kirk Cameron, Byron Donalds, so many other people. I feel blessed to be able to have conversations. So I love doing my show. I might write another book or two. I might be doing a docu-series that might be on streaming. The good news is, you know, I'm just grateful for every day. And this past month, this past year, there's been a lot of people who have been I think unsettled about what's going on in politics, and rightly so. It's not over yet. We haven't gotten through this hump. There's a lot of things coming out, but what I'm really looking forward to is spending time, quiet time every day. I'm going to set aside time just for me with no agenda, no phone, maybe my Bible. This is a Bible from 1873, by the way.
That's awesome.
I mean,
Beautiful.
so I love to read. I love to read books. I love to read your book. And I like to spend, I want to not be busy for even a few moments a day. I like being busy. I don't know how to just, what do you do if you're not busy? You sit around and watch TV? What exactly do you do? But I want to carve out some time that's just not scheduled and let God speak to me.
Is that a specific New Year's resolution you created for yourself this year? Just taking some time for yourself?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Yep. Awesome. Love it. All right. So just for fun, I love asking people questions that no one else usually asks them.
Okay.
I already asked you about toilet paper.
You already did about toilet paper.
So I want the listeners to know, the viewers to know, that I bet Shemaine Nugent, while she's hunting, I guarantee you in her pack or in her deer stand, she does not have Mountain Fresh scented toilet paper for the deer to scent or smell. That does not help you with hunting. That's not,
nope.
The deer is not going to be fooled that there's a mountain smell over there in that deer stand from Shemaine's toilet paper. All right. So next question though, let's ask you a question that maybe not some people have asked you. And if you don't want to tell me, that's fine. Tell me an incredible date you and your husband have been on that he surprised you with. Something that was memorable, a date that you were like, oh my God, this was amazing. I can't believe it. I bet you no one else has done this. I can't believe you asked me to do this. This is great.
I wish you would ask my husband this and see what his answer is.
I'll ask him one day.
We don't go on dates. We don't go on vacations. We don't take trips. We do, however, I think this is part of the type A personality or whatever. We're both always doing things. We get to go to the White House and have dinner with the president. So is that a date? I would think that would be the best date that we were ever on. Yeah. But, you know, there are other times. It's more like, to me, Brian, as we age, I feel like I'm really growing into the type of person where, you know, I just like to sit out with my dogs and look at, we have a big, huge field. We call it the Serengeti because it reminds us of Africa. That's awesome. Here in Texas. And we have scimitar horn oryx, white-tailed deer, fallow deer, black buck antelope, and aoudad. And it's just, you know, sitting, having a cup of coffee in the morning, watching the animals roam the prairie. That's a great date.
That is incredible, actually. Old. I love it. No, I think it's awesome. All right, so I'll ask you a different question then, since y'all don't do really dates. Y'all are too type A and are off just doing stuff around the world that most people think is amazing. All right, so next thing, what is the dream animal you have not bow hunted yet? Do you have one?
No, really, and I'll tell you why. whenever I do go hunting, I say a prayer. I say a silent prayer, and it really is important for me. I wounded an animal once. I wounded a wildebeest in Africa. They call it wildebeest. But I wounded it, heard my bow, and it jumped up. I only nicked it in its leg, but it devastated me. I didn't go hunting for about 2 years. And so my prayer is just a quick, humane kill. And honestly, like I've got huge white-tailed deer. We call this one Mongo. And Ted, I don't know what it is. Sometimes maybe they're attracted to female scent or whatever it is, but Ted will go out hunting night after night after night. Shh, don't tell anybody. He doesn't see things. And then I'll go out and Mongo comes in. He's like, I don't understand it. So he had been talking about this deer Mongo, and it came right in front of me. I don't know if you know anything about bow hunting, but the deer has to be broadside and extended its leg so that, I can't break a shoulder. I have to wait till it does that. So he did that for about 20 minutes. I'm like, I'm not going to get it because Ted will be mad at me. And so he took off. About 45 minutes later, he came back, and I'm like, God, if you really want me to get Mongo, he's going to stand in front of me broadside with his leg like that. And he did. And I made a great shot. It went 30 yards. So I'm just grateful, Brian. I'm not looking for the next big kill. I'm just, whatever it is, I'm just grateful for a quick, humane kill and to share my health with other people and inspire and motivate other people.
I love it. All right. So what's your promise to all those who are about to buy your book? Give them your promise.
I promise this will change your life. I promise you will look at things like, diet and exercise. Don't say the word diet. It has to be a lifestyle. And fill your body with good, clean food, God food, not man food. Start reading labels, start understanding what fuel you're putting into your sacred temple. You're going to look at health and wellness and really start creating boundaries for yourself. Start saying no to things or to people who don't make you feel like sunshine, who suck the energy out of you. So that's a couple of things that I think people will get out of it. But yes, it's a overall healthy lifestyle, spirituality book that will cleanse their souls.
You're a crusader. You're an amazing woman. So excited to know you, Shemaine. Looking forward to hang out one day. And you need to come to Healing for the Ages. You and your husband both. Come out there and hang out. Rocco and whoever else. Bring them with you. And y'all come celebrate with us. Healing for the Ages will be in October this year. It's going to be very exciting, but we'd love to have you there. And bring your book. And let's celebrate being abundantly well together. It's going to be phenomenal. All right. Go get her book. Amazon.com. God bless you all. We look forward to seeing you next time. Shemaine, you're awesome. You guys have a great afternoon. Tell Ted hi. And I look forward to asking him about his favorite date with you. Can't wait to see what he says. All right. God bless you all. See you next time.
God bless you. Thank you.